Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this eTwinning webinar. Today we are here with Augustine Bastida Rodriguez, Future Group Moderator of the SENSE Group, and Deirdre Hodson from the European Commission. In this session, you will learn more about how the European Commission is supporting the EU countries to embed sustainability in education. All the EU countries will adopt soon a new recommendation on this key issue, to be precise, in mid-June. So you will find out with us more about what is in the new policy and what more needs to be done for Europe's education and training system to adopt the green transition. But without further ado, please, Augustine, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Marta. Well, today with us, as Marta said before, there is a very important person for me and Europe, who is Deirdre Hodson. Deirdre Hodson is a civil servant in the European Commission, and she is policy officer in the education department at the European Commission, as I said before. She studied at Trinity College in Dublin, and lately she has done a Master of Science, digital education in the University of Edinburgh. At this moment, Deirdre works on the school education team, as I said, mainly in the digital education, selfie for teachers, and education for environmental sustainability. So before Deirdre start presenting their presentation and introducing all her works, I would like to tell you that we have working during more than a year in a EU green consultation that many of you took part during the last year. So thank you very much, because it's important for all of us European citizens to develop and build a more sustainable and fairer society in Europe. And first, before Deirdre start talking, I would like to show you the group I moderate. As you many know, is this one related to sustainability education, where you can find useful information. And Nelson Mandela said that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. But I prefer the Paulo Freire, that is not just education, but the people are who will change the world. And this is very important. No matter what education you have, which is very important, to have culture and to have very good skills, but the people are the important thing. And as we all know, this is a solidarity second for Ukraine. I invite you all to take part in this padlet. You can find it here. And supporting peace and communication ways to finish that and justice war in Europe. Another thing very important is that we are working against the climate change. There are many reasons to stop this increasing of temperatures and this extreme weather all over the world. We have tragedies, natural disasters, loss of biodiversity, but it is important we human beings take part in our environment, the society and the natural scenarios, and protect them both. So this is another invitation to take part in this world. As I said before, during more than a year, we've been working with this recommendation, and now there are. Deirdre will tell us in a few minutes well, an approach that all the countries in the 26 countries in the neo Europe are going to broadcast and inform in a few days, no? And there is another invitation about the SDGs. Yeah? Here you can tell us what you're doing in your, I'm not going to open it, but there is another wall. How do you work at your school to develop these global goals? And now this is what the reason of being here with you today. There is an important wall for you to take part in it. And in this occasion, I'm going to open it. Later on, we'll upload Deirdre's presentation and the recording as well. Here, this is for me important to reuse material, even though it is digital, because it's like a record book, it's a record wall. Here, there are some materials we started working 2 years ago with Fernando. And these were the questions we asked you about climate change. And now, for these occasions, we would like to invite you to open, not now, but at home, with a coffee or a tea, and see what this green com is about, which is something very important. And we invite you all to, well, answer, if not all of these questions, but this question. You can copy as in a couple of years you did it, and then answer one by one, like Kira did in this entry, or all together in a whole paragraph. It doesn't matter. This is up to you. But this is very important. And the questions are, why is a competence for sustainability necessary in schools? What competence actions are you carrying out in your school? What kind of help and training does your educational authority offer you? What would you need in your school to support you, your colleagues, and your students to work on environmental issues? And what helps you right now, and what blocks you? During today's webinar, I facilitate the link of this Padlet, which is in this page I showed you before, but I will copy and paste in this window for you, just for you to take part. So, well, I think we can start. I need to open it and start sharing. So, Deirdre, you can, this is your time.
Thank you, Augustine. I think we could hear birds behind you, which is really nice. So super nice. So hi, everybody. I hope you had a good day. Many of you teaching. Thank you so much for joining us at the end of a busy day. Maybe some of you are outside walking with your headphones on. Maybe you have a cup of tea, coffee. Hope you're able to relax a bit, and just thanks for taking the time to be with us. So I've met many of you before. When we started on the new policy that I'll talk about today, one of the first people I contacted was Augustine to see whether we could do a series of webinars and workshops with the Sense group, which we did last year. And that gave us lots of ideas and input, which we then put into the new policy, which I'll talk about in a moment. So really nice to be back again, and I'll explain exactly what we've done over the last year, how we've used your input, and what all the EU governments will sign on the 16th of June. So I usually work in Brussels. I'm from Ireland, but I'm based in Brussels, working at the school policy team, as Augustine said. Right now, I'm actually in the same country as Augustine, a few hundred kilometers away. I'm in Seville, in the south of Spain, where it's very sunny out there. And that's because we have a research department here. And actually today I've been at a workshop on teacher digital competence, because I work both on green transition in education and also on digital transition. So we've had a workshop here looking at how we can support teachers improve their digital competences. So that's why I'm here in Seville today. So really happy over the next few minutes to tell you the story of the new policy on education for environmental sustainability. I'm going to share my screen now. If you have any questions, you can just stop me at any point. We like these sessions to be interactive, so please feel free to come with your ideas, your thoughts, your experience. So I'm going to share my, you can see that okay. So let me, so you see the screen okay, do you? I'll just do, yeah, presentation mode. Let me minimize that. Okay, right, we're ready to go. So some of you may be familiar with European cooperation in education. Maybe you've taken part in the Erasmus program. We have an Erasmus funding program that funds projects, networks like e-twinning, exchanges between staff and students and pupils in higher education, but also in schools. So as well as the funding program, we also work with the ministries of education on policy cooperation and coordination. So what does that mean? Basically, every country organizes its education system differently. There's very centralized systems to very decentralized systems. In all of your countries, education is designed in a certain way. So we at the Commission, we don't design education systems, we don't run education systems, but what we do is we connect the countries to share ideas and experience, work together on shared policy goals. And one of the priority areas for cooperation is learning for the green transition, and that's what I'm going to talk about now in a moment. So you'll be familiar with the European Green Deal. We've spoken about it with Fernando at our last session. It's come into some of our conversations before. So this is an overarching or kind of an umbrella policy, which really has all of the Commission's different departments working to serve the goals of the Green Deal, which is to become a climate neutral continent by 2050. It's about protecting human life, animals and plants. It's by reducing pollution, supporting our industry in Europe to become leaders in green products and technologies, and of course making sure that this transition happens in a just and inclusive way. So of course this is about energy, that's in the news a lot at the moment. It's about transport, it's about trade, but also education and training needs to look as a sector at what it's doing to change and adapt and support the goals of the European Green Deal. So how can we help our learners develop the knowledge and skills and awareness on the environment, on climate change? How can we make sure as a sector that we watch our own environmental footprint as well? So education and training also needs to take its responsibility to support the goals of the Green Deal. Like I mentioned, we have 27 member states in Europe. We work together also with partner countries on cooperating in education. We have 6 priority or focus areas, if you like, just to draw your attention to number 3, which is looking at how education and training is changing and can change because of the green and digital transitions. So we're doing a number of things when it comes to the green transition in education, but I'm going to talk mainly about the new policy, which is on the way, the Council recommendation, where we started a year ago with workshops with the SENSE members, getting ideas. We ran many different consultation activities, and also a little bit about the competence framework, Green Comp. But just to say that there's many other things happening. We have the Education for Climate Coalition, which is a bottom-up grassroots movement connecting schools working on climate change, bringing teachers together. That's something our department started about 1.5 years ago. If you look at the bottom left there, that's a new working group that we have at European level, looking at all aspects of sustainability education. We meet approximately every 2 months. Our last meeting, we looked at whole school approaches to sustainability. Our next meeting, we look at curriculum design and building sustainability competences into curriculum. So who's on that group? It's representatives mainly from ministries of education working on sustainability, also social partners, trade union, employers, organizations, and a number of non-governmental organizations as well. And I mentioned our Erasmus funding program too. So very briefly on Green Comp, we have a number of competence frameworks which we developed over the years with our colleagues here in Seville at our research centre. Some of you may be familiar with the frameworks on digital competences, DigComp Citizens. We have a framework for teachers, but the brand new, the latest framework that we've developed actually sets out what we mean by sustainability competences. These are the competences which can help our learners of all ages, from early years right up to adult education, to think, plan and act with empathy, responsibility, and to care for the planet. Now, we developed this, like all our frameworks, working with experts from all across Europe. That happened over the last year. We released the framework in January, so it's still very new. It's getting a lot of interest, and it's really to kind of unpack what we mean by sustainability competences. I won't spend too long on this, but just to say at a glance that you have 4 competence areas in there. You see in orange, embodying sustainability values. Under that you have promoting a connection with nature, fairness, intergenerational solidarity, for example, valuing sustainability, so working towards sustainability. And then we have in the yellow, you'll see embracing complexity in sustainability. This is around systems thinking, so recognizing the interconnections, for example, between the environment, society, the economy, critical thinking as well, tackling disinformation, and framing complex problems as well. And then we have a futures part where that little flower is in the kind of peachy orange. And that's about being adaptable for the future, imagining different future scenarios. There could be different forms of future depending on decisions that we take, and exploratory thinking. So really looking at how we can determine a more sustainable future with our actions. And the last one is around both individual action and collective action for sustainability. So understanding decision making, for example, this is very closely linked to civic education. So I just wanted to say at the start of the presentation that Green Comp, as we call it, is out there. It was released in January, and we're right now translating it into all EU languages, and all the translations will be available in September. At the moment, you'll find it only in English, but we will have 24 EU language versions available from September. So maybe that's of interest to you and your colleagues to look through. So now I'm going to turn more to the policy. So I'm aware that you're teachers, you work in a reality of schools, classrooms with your students. This is a policy statement. So I hope that I can try and kind of unpack some of the ideas in this policy that can relate to you in your daily classroom practice. And I'd be really interested to get your feedback. So European policies, how it works is the Commission, so us as the civil service, we put out a proposal. So we were preparing that proposal all over last year. I'm going to give you some ideas that we got from the feedback sessions that we ran, from a big public consultation we ran. All of that we put into a proposal, which we adopted in January, on the 14th of January. And that passed over to the Council. So that is where the member states, they take our proposal, they read it, they discuss it and negotiate it. And that's happened over the last 3 months with the French presidency. You know, every 6 months that a country is in charge of the European Union. They chair all the meetings. It's the French presidency right now. It'll pass next to the Czech Republic, then to Sweden, so it rotates. So we have been with the French presidency in meetings, going through the proposal line by line. The member states, of course, can agree to change certain things we've put in there. They can add things if they feel there's not enough focus. So that's the process we've been going through. And on the 16th of June, so in 2 weeks' time, all EU countries signed that recommendation. And that's a commitment, a policy statement to work more on sustainability in education. So that's by way of introduction. I just wanted to mention that when the Commission releases a proposal, it also has a bigger document. So the proposal is around 15 pages. In our case, this is a longer document, around 100 pages. And it's where we put the ideas behind the proposal. So why are we saying this? What, how can we back up our ideas? Examples. So we tried to write this to be useful for you, the teachers, as well, to take it. It's quite a colourful publication with examples, with ideas, and hopefully you'll find some inspiration in there as well to see what is happening around Europe, because there are many tremendous things happening on environmental and sustainability education. So when we drafted the policy, we were also very careful to work with our colleagues at UNESCO, the UN, on the Sustainable Development Goals. We wanted to make sure that we were in tune with all of these things happening at international level as well, because of course the EU is also committed to delivering on the SDGs as well. So we're in conversations a lot with our colleagues in UNESCO to making sure all of this is aligned. So just a few words on the backdrop. So why the proposal? It's probably not a surprise to you that nearly all of our EU citizens say that environmental protection is something that really matters personally to them. Our young people in Europe are very or extremely worried about the climate crisis. We know that eco-anxiety, eco-pessimism is a real thing. It's something I'm sure you're encountering as well in your teaching. So many young people right now feel that education and training is not really preparing them to tackle climate change, for the green transition, protecting the environment, and to live and act more sustainably. And the majority of respondents to our public survey said that education and training is a key, in fact, the key sector to help people understand, to empower them to take action on climate change and environmental crisis. So people really look to education, whether it's schools, whether it's non-formal education off the curriculum, whether it's higher education, adult learning, to really give a response and to help people prepare for these deep changes that we'll need. So now I'm just going to pull out some messages from the consultation. So when I say consultations, it was the workshops we ran with you in the SENSE community. We also spoke to youth representatives as well. We worked with international organizations, non-governmental organizations as well. So we ran many workshops, all of them online because of COVID. And we heard many messages that kept recurring, or repeating messages from all our different stakeholders. People said to us that there's been great progress in many countries. There's now curriculum on sustainability, many different eco labeling, like eco schools are very developed, schools very active, green campuses. But there was a general feeling that it wasn't enough, that we need to go deeper and we need to go faster because of the urgency of the crisis as well. So we really need to look for systemic change. Many of these initiatives are very limited in time and scope. They depend on one or two enthusiastic teachers, a small group of students. There was a lot of feedback on pedagogies. I'm sure this is something that will resonate with your experience. So people really looking for more practical ways to learn about the environment and the climate crisis in hands-on ways, outdoors learning. The outdoors been offering us a great opportunity to learn. So it's more than just the knowledge, and it's more than the cognitive. It's yes about the head, but it's also about the hands and the heart as well. So really fully engaging people with the socio-emotional aspects as well. So not just the knowledge of the topic, if you know what I mean. People were asking for more cross-curricular and interdisciplinary approaches as well. This seemed to be especially tricky in secondary education. Primary lends itself more to working across topics. The more you go into secondary, the more it can be about these separate subjects. So teachers looking at ways of, well, could we do the climate crisis bringing in art, for example? Could we do it bringing in music or languages? And I think eTwinning has some great examples of bringing in interdisciplinary approaches to learning about these things. And a feedback we got as well was just looking for more better teaching material and guidance, for example, on how to tackle eco-negativity, anxiety in students. So the words time, space and support kept coming back as well. We know that to do this properly, to teach for sustainability, you need space. You need space in your busy working weeks as well. You need space on the curriculum. Teachers really wanted to connect with other teachers as well. This is something you're doing every day in the Sense network. But we heard from other teachers that they feel sometimes alone working on these issues. Again, maybe they're on their own in the school and they really want to reach out and connect with their peers to work on these issues together. Unsurprisingly, teacher professional learning came up again and again, looking in particular for interdisciplinary approaches to teaching, active hands-on pedagogies, and how to deal with the subject matter, which can be difficult and controversial. Leadership teams as well, they're crucial, our leadership teams in our education institutions, but they also need support on learning for sustainability. How can they move to whole school approaches and really have sustainability embedded in the mission statement of the school, for example? In the consultation, we heard that partnerships and collaboration were really important. Everybody recognised that to work on environmental issues, it's great to partner with maybe a local NGO, a forest, a park, a farm, but there were barriers to sustaining these cooperation and collaborations. Sometimes there just wasn't enough money, funding, again, time, and how to really kind of move to sustained cooperation, not just maybe a one-off workshop together. So another message we got is about sustainability not just being something to be taught, it needs to be kind of practiced at schools. So our students need to see it throughout their learning experience in the, the kind of formal curriculum, but also the kind of hidden curriculum and what they see at school in terms of the school buildings, the playground as well, the canteens, transport links to the school. So we really need to look at the school as a whole and how we can move to sustainability actions that involve the students as a whole, all staff, parents and other stakeholders. So really moving at an institutional level and not just project-based with a few individuals involved. And then a key message was how to measure and monitor the effectiveness at school level, at ministry level. If we have a sustainability education program, how can we be sure that it's effective? How do we see whether the sustainability competences are being acquired, for example? People gave us feedback on the impact of the pandemic on sustainability education. Lots of bad things and some good things. For some, they felt that their work on the environment was just interrupted and not prioritised because we had school closures, the obviously huge impact of the shift to remote emergency teaching online. So it just fell off the radar. It just became lower down on the agenda. Those collaborations in place, they were kind of damaged or disrupted. And yes, it was about other things really. But then again, we heard that there was maybe more of a focus on the benefits of being outdoors. That was discussed a lot during the COVID months and years with lockdown as well. There were new partnerships that were formed. We spoke to an environmental education centre, and they said before COVID they always brought the teachers and students to their centre, but because their centre closed they had to rethink, and now they offer actually blended programs for teachers where the teachers come part of the time to the centre, but also there's online modules as well. So again, a kind of a forced innovation and a rethinking about how we deliver training programs, more and more being done in the online space. So some good things there too. So when we ask people what was needed according to the consultation, basically, well, according to what was needed from the member states, unsurprisingly, more funding for sustainability education. Many people said that policies and strategies on sustainable development, on sustainability education should either be developed if they don't exist or reviewed. A message we got was you really need to look at different parts of the system. What is our initial teacher education doing on sustainability? Are we preparing our teachers who are entering the classroom to teach about these issues as well? So really looking at all parts of the education system, boosting the collaboration on sustainability within the system. That means as well ministries working together. Sometimes the Ministry of the Environment is working on education, but not speaking to the Education Ministry. So we need to get more collaboration for this systemic change. And then a message we got was the need for both short-term change because of the urgency and long-term change. So we need to look at the curriculum we have right now and see how we can bring in the climate crisis, sustainability, but we also need to, if we're undergoing reforms, curriculum change, which is more longer term. How can we make sure that sustainability is built in there? At EU level, people are asking for us to bring together projects, programs, policies to exchange good practice, more funding through, for example, Erasmus Plus program for projects, for research, and then to have kind of common principles and a shared language, if you like. And this is one of the reasons why we developed Green Comp, is that we can have more conversations together around sustainability education as well. So really to boost the cooperation. So just to give you a few key ideas that are in the policy proposal that has been discussed and will be adopted on the 16th of June. It's really about providing access to high quality learning about sustainability. Yeah.
Hello. Can I interrupt you just before going into this proposal?
Of course.
I have always in my mind a question, because as you know, all of you know, there are 8 key competencies, and will sustainability be the 9th one?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Because I think all of this hard work you have developed, and these proposals and this amount of and huge work with the Ministry of Education of these countries, and the results in a few days of this work, there is always in my mind, if sustainability will be the 9th key competence, because otherwise all of this fantastic work won't be supported inside the systemic work, being a key competence. I don't know if I explained myself properly.
No, you did absolutely, because you were referring to our framework on key competences from 2018. And that framework, so the 8 key competences, refers to sustainability. So it's there, but it's very light. And we really felt we needed to go much deeper to really unpack what we mean by sustainability competences. And some of the things you find in Green Comp are actually in the 2018 framework, like critical thinking, collaboration, empathy, resilience. So you'll find certain elements. But I think when we go to update the framework, because these frameworks have to evolve and they have to change because society changes and education needs to also change. So I think when we have the next review, we've no timetable for the next review. I think then we'll be looking at how Green Comp can be integrated into a review of the key competences framework. So I don't know if that's an answer to your question. It's something we're very aware of, but we really felt we needed to move on sustainability, not wait for a review of the 2018 framework. And this, I have to say, there's a huge interest in it also from the member states. So yeah, let's see if it becomes the 9th.
Thank you very much.
No problem. It's a good question. So yeah, so turning back to the proposal, really what we've asked member states to do is to provide access to high quality learning in, about and for environmental sustainability for learners of all ages and in different settings, because learning takes place, we know, in formal education, in the schools where you work, but also in families, also in non-formal, maybe in the scouting movement, in weekend camps or clubs, for example. So learning is something that happens in many different settings, but we are recommending that access is provided to all of our learners on sustainability. It's about embedding sustainability in all of our education and training policies, programs and processes, and it's building on the progress that's there. So it's this deep change, the systemic change, and the need to go faster, better and deeper. And then it's about harnessing the potential, because we feel this isn't just another thing for education. We feel it's a great opportunity as well. I mean, in our Sense workshops before, we've spoken to you about how your students are super engaged and excited to work on these issues, these projects about ocean health or sustainable eating habits, or, you know, I mean, you've presented some wonderful projects and you talked about their engagement, because this is kind of relevant learning and it's meaningful learning for them and it connects with the outside world. So we feel it's a great opportunity for very meaningful learning experiences that are, you know, rooted in their local contexts as well. So the potential is something we've tried to put in this new proposal. And we have a series of kind of statements we've put as well in there about, you know, effective learning for sustainability is going to look different in Augustine's school to my school. To it will look different depending on the context, but we see these key messages coming back again and again, and it's really about the need to start from a very young age. So in our early childhood education and care, in our creches, preschools, kindergartens, to build that connection with nature and to foster a kind of environmental stewardship from an early age, and then to run across the lifespan. So it's about lifelong learning. It's not just ticking a box. It's about learning from early years through to adult education in all areas and phases and stages of education. And it needs supportive learning environments. That's the whole institution approach as well. And we need to learn in ways that are not frightening, but are actually empowering and engaging and positive. Unsurprisingly, we need to support you, the teachers, the educators, and our leadership teams as well in our institutions. Just have a block there. I might have to unshare and reshare. Sorry for the pause.
Don't worry. Please answer the questions I am writing on the chat, please, because you are very shy. Don't be shy. We won't transform our world if you are shy.
I hope I'm not going too quickly. I'm trying to share and it's blocking. I'm gonna try one more time. I have only a very few slides left, so let me try one more time.
Okay.
So the last four statements that you'll see in the policy is the need for collaboration and partnerships. Again, that will look different school per school, whether it's in a rural area, an urban area, but we really need to connect with local and wider partnerships on these issues as well. We need to have our young people involved as well. That can be at school level decision making. It can be on student council, for example, getting them involved in decisions on the environment so they feel actively listened to and involved. We need to build those sustainability competences and skills. And for that to work, we also need strong policies at top-down level as well. We need to foster innovation and action at school level, at the level of the campus, university, but we also need funding, investment, strong policies to make this happen. So I've mentioned a number of the recommendations in there. We are calling on member states to support education and training systems to provide access to learning about the climate, biodiversity and sustainability, to establish sustainability as a focus area, a priority in education and training, to provide these different opportunities to learn in different settings, funding, so to mobilize funding for greening our buildings, for example, our school buildings, funding for teacher education, tools and resources, and of course to monitor whether what we're doing is effective or not, carrying out research and evaluating. So the proposal is also an invitation to us in the Commission to work more on these issues over the coming years. So it gives a mandate to us to prioritise sustainability education. And for that, we commit to connecting the countries together to work more on these issues. So, for example, what the Czech Republic, a curriculum reform there, could Ireland learn something from that? Or if France is really thinking initial teacher education to build in sustainability, could maybe Greece take an example from that, or Croatia learning from Poland? I mean, there's many good examples out there. So our job is to bring and to network the ministries together to share experience on what they're doing. We can also support our educators by developing resources. We can do that on our platforms like School Education Gateway, the new European school education platform that we're developing right now. We will be running a MOOC on whole school approaches to sustainability, an online course in September. So that's just one example about how the Commission can support with practical resources as well. We're looking at green skills, so that's more on the employability and industry side. So we will need new skills in Europe with the greening of our industries. And of course, different sectors from manufacturing to tourism all need to also look at sustainability and develop new skills there to support sustainable industry as well. So we need to boost our links at international level, working closely with the UN, and our Erasmus programme has a strong role to play. So I want to finish by bringing you to a school in Ireland where I went to about 6 weeks ago, and that's a school in the south of Ireland in Kinsale, a very beautiful part of Ireland. It's a town, a very dynamic school in a town. It's a secondary school, and the school leadership team there have really made sustainability a priority for the school. They have around 700 pupils there from 12 to 18 years of age, and they have sustainability everywhere. You can see it at the school. There are so many projects underway. They're looking at curriculum, how they can build in sustainability, bringing in geography and maths. They built a greenhouse outside. The school caretaker helped them build a greenhouse, and they have classes in the greenhouse. They have computer science class in the greenhouse, and one of the students showed me a microbit they've been using to check whether the soil is dry or too dry, and it will give an alarm if they need to water the plants. The first years, so the 12-year-olds, are growing herbs for the school canteen. So the school canteen doesn't need to buy herbs wrapped in plastic. So they have a herb garden. They've built an orchard outside. The teachers are given time, space, support. There's a staff meeting every week on sustainability, and they have a sustainability, they call it a chaplain. So it's a sustainability coordinator, and he works in the school. It's a part-time role, and he is the coach for all things sustainability. And he says his job is easy because the leadership team have made it a priority. So he works with the students and with the staff. And in the top left picture, that's the final year students, and they have a graduation ball. It's a tradition in Ireland that around now they will finish their exams, they'll have a graduation ball, and they're discussing how to make this ball, this evening do more sustainable. So thinking about what they'll eat at the ball, how they'll travel there, the transport, etc. So that's an idea that came from the students, and they're involved in sustainable fashion. They've made water bottles for the school, so they've cut out plastic bottles at school, but the art class made a sculpture to show all of the plastic that they don't use anymore. Now they all use the reusable water bottles. So I just wanted to take you from the kind of policy level down to a school that have really made sustainability a focus area for them across many, many different subjects, really acting involving students and really working with the local community as well. Finally, I'll show you a QR code in the moment, but we're publishing more and more kind of reports. Just in case that's of interest to you, we have a recent report on whole school approaches to environmental sustainability. We obviously have the Green Comp there. We have a study on the impact of COVID on sustainability education. So just to let you know that there's more and more resources that we're publishing on these topics as well, and you'll find everything there on the QR code that I've just flashed up, and I'll be sharing the presentation as well. So 16th of June is the adoption date, and that's when all 27 countries will sign this, and we hope that this will give a strong boost, and it's a commitment by the countries to work more, and we hope that you will see the impact of this in your schools and your classrooms as well. And I just want to finish by thanking the SENS community again for all of your input that you gave us, which really helped fed us with ideas and inspiration to help us prepare the policy. Thank you. You're muted, we don't hear you.
Sorry.
Yeah, now we hear you.
Thank you very much, Deirdre. It's a fantastic information about the situation of the policy in Europe related to sustainability. And as you mentioned before, thank you very much for being with us, because you have finished a very intense journey or congress in Sevilla. I am very agradecido. Well,
it's a pleasure to be here, of course.
Thank you very much. There are some colleagues, there are some between who has said that, let's see, because some of them suddenly awoke, which is fantastic. And for example, Kate Negrelishly, Kate said that what he or she needs, needs is modern classrooms equipped with technologies. Malgorzata says that some regulations are necessary. It should be part of the curriculum, otherwise it is very difficult. This is why I said before that this, if sustainability will be the 9th key competence, because I think that would be facilitate, makes the path much easier to introduce sustainability and makes the curriculum green. This is our demand. For example, Vesna said that.
Yeah, I see Vesna looking for a greenhouse, classroom outside, playground outside. Yeah, a classroom where you use it outside, definitely. Yeah, the school in Ireland had also built a classroom outside, and that was they were given a small grant with the for COVID, and they used it to make an outdoor classroom. We have so much rain in Ireland, it's got a kind of a cover over it, but again, they have classes outside. It's just next to the greenhouse. So yeah, and you see that more and more schools working to have outdoor spaces as well, where learning can take place, and some of them even bringing technology outdoors as well to do.
Sandra, I think, point to a very important thing. She said that she would need a space in the curriculum, but this is not a space in the curriculum. It's a green curriculum. This is, I think, the clue of this scenario. It's not about doing more work apart from the teaching and the material, the content. It's just to work with a green content. It doesn't matter if it's philosophy, biology, or technology, because as Deirdre said before, sustainability is a curriculum ability, competence. So, and it's not just in schools, but in our daily routines as a citizen. We need to acquire some abilities and be prepared and to protect our environment. And when I said environment, I'm not saying just the physical environment, but the human environment, is because human beings are part of the planet. So this is another webinars about the Anthropocenes. But I think this is the clue. It's not to add some more actions to our work at school, but just doing our teaching content in a green way. And as you said before, it's very important, the active methodologies. I am completely sure that school in Ireland has a planification with this methodology, and they are very concerned to do it. And all the staff work in the same direction. There are not individualities, and all this work is perfectly coordinated. I think that's another important clue for a successful, for developing a sustainability, or for being a school in this term of sustainability. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. It's something we discussed a lot in the workshops. And I know in Ireland, the minister announced recently that we'll have a new subject on climate change and sustainable development. it's only starting, so it will be developed, but it will be for 16 to 18-year-olds. And people are saying, okay, that's good, but what about everybody else? It will be an optional subject, so we won't get all of our students. So it's good, and it's great. It's been recognized as a subject, and it's welcome. But that school in Ireland, they're not waiting for a curriculum reform. They're just getting on with it, and they're kind of 2 steps ahead of anybody else. They're just saying, okay, we have the curriculum right now. These are our learning outcomes. How can we bring the environment into it? How can we get the students involved in very hands-on ways? So a lot of it they're doing in curriculum time, but they're also working on a lot of projects, so extracurricular activities as well, but making them a sustainability theme. So we have an annual Young Scientist competition. So the school enter projects, but nearly all of them now are about sustainability. They have a project on sustainable fashion as well, so that brings in the art class. So it was a real mix of on curriculum, off curriculum, extra school activities as well. So, but yeah, I think it's difficult sometimes if we have to wait for curriculum reform, because that can take a long time. So I think it's about both. I think it's about what we have right now and also working for kind of longer term change.
Yeah, and here in the panel there are some contributions, but they are related to fight the climate change. For example, Utah said that in 2019 Greta Thunberg made clear that we have a climate change and we must finally change our lifestyle, that we must live in a sustainable way. A fact we have known for a long time. The fact that was also known in the 19th century. And she mentioned Mark Twain. There is another important thing I think of, because in a few days, in 3 days' time, there will be the 50th anniversary of the Earth Summit. And then the United Nations, with Olof Palme, the Prime Minister of Sweden, I think, remind us that the planet was in danger, and all countries were worried about the transborder pollution, because the pollution is not a question of just the country produces, but the pollution is global. So they were worried about this transborder pollution and the loss of biodiversity. And I think we all must think about Olof Palme, who was assessing some years ago. And I think he, in that Earth Summit, had the responsibility to work with many leaders, probably who were thinking he was full, no? And pay attention the scenario and the situation the planet is at this moment, with the peak oil and this problem in general, with the war in Ukraine and this uncertainty. And I think what children and young people need at this time is security, and teachers has a and parents have a very important role in this scenario. And this. So thank you very much. Really, it's a pleasure for me to see you, and I hope very soon we'll meet each other physically here in Madrid or in any city. And I don't know if there are some other questions of the participants. I know you are really tired.
No, it's fine. I was looking at some of the comments, and Esther, absolutely, that sustainability coach, it's just such a good idea. And Klaus, I'd actually love to invite him to one of our workshops so he could talk more about his job at the school. He's working also in further education, in vocational education, in horticulture. So he comes to the school in a part-time role. And this isn't a private school. It's not a school with lots of resources. They've just made this their focus, and their dynamic. There was a herd of goats in the school gardens that a local farmer had bought, and there were children out learning and playing with the goats and learning about the goats. And so they're just doing all of these different things, really working with their local community. So I think having him to come maybe with some of the students might be nice, to meet the SENS community too, to talk about what they're doing in a very normal school who've just said, okay, this is our focus. We need to prepare our children for a very changing world, and let's let's get them active and empowered on environmental issues.
Well, so Marta, what do you think if we say time for a coffee and have a rest?
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, I still see a lot of nice comments in the chat, and please, if you wish to say something to really wrap up and close the session, we still have 5 minutes, so you have all the time to do that. No rush, really.
Great. So I just like to finish by saying thank you. I think, given the extent of the climate crisis, I think all of us need to be active, whether at the level of the classroom, at the school, at policy level, at teacher education. I think we all need to make an effort and do what we can in our roles. So, I really hope this new policy will push forward more European cooperation, more funding on this issue, more attention to this issue. And we're certainly committed at the European Commission to work and to continue our work on the issue over the coming years. So thanks to you for, I'm sure you're all tired as well after your days with the students. I know it's a very busy time of year for many of you in these last few weeks and months at school. So thank you so much for making the effort to join us and for giving me the opportunity to explain about our work at the European level on sustainability education. Thank you. And thank you, Augustine. It's always a pleasure. And Marta, thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us today. And just to mention that indeed the climate change and environmental challenges was the twinning annual theme 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, but still the issue is still really relevant. We do not have to forget about it. And actually it's also part of the new European Bauhaus, also all the concept of sustainability. So I'm sure that the participants can find in twinning in the various groups, in the various activities, various ways to address this also in the schools and classrooms. So thank you very much. And also, Augustine, some participants are asking if there will be other sessions or next actions. So
the next action.
Yeah, or next action that you foresee it, but I think you can.
My next action I propose is relax. Have a fantastic summer because and recover energy to keep on working these fantastic actions at the school you all have done, or in your responsibility, Marta, in the central service, or you, Deirdre, in Brussels, in the European Commission. And after summer holiday, we'll organize another interesting action or webinar. Don't worry about it. But we all need some feedback. E-Twinners, please go to SENS group, and there is a forum where you can take part. It's important. And thank you very much, because we are very busy. You all said that, and it's true. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I wish you all a good evening and have some rest. Bye everyone.
Bye.